Known globally as the Temple of Speed, the Highline Racing League goes international for the first time in Season 19. And there's no better circuit to venture to than the circuit in Italy, best known, of course, as we mentioned, by its illustrious capability for excitement, danger, and real racing. Tonight, the Highline Racing League Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series takes on one of its biggest challenges on the global tour. This is the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. Welcome back to the 3.5-mile circuit in Italy, just north of Milan, a racing treasure amid the forest. Welcome back live on FTN for coverage of tonight's event. I'll be your host, commentating and producing. I'm David Kreutz. Currently 3 minutes are left on the timing sheets, and it looks like two-time winner Lucas Lodato is looking for his third. He already has the provisional pole position as Chad Winstead currently has second. And it appears now Scott Zellner gets up inside the top five. Wait now for the final times to be taken. Road course ringers positions 1, 2, and 3 on that timing board. Very familiar to where we would expect them to be in Lodato, Winston, and Ramirez. Everyone else a little bit more challenging to predict, and so the rest of the field getting their times in right now. Perhaps they made a mistake in their first run. Going back at it once again. Colton Gardner, one of which 16 drivers have taken the time so far, including Gardner. We have a total now of about 25 drivers registered, with still more expected to arrive. Should come in at just under 30 on the day here, and Gardner going to be one of those getting extra practice laps. Austin Bloom on the move, one of the faster drivers at the road courses. This is his second and final lap. First lap did not come in validated, so he's looking for a significantly better time this time through, of course. Road course winner of the Highline Racing League Truck Series, which formerly ran on Tuesday nights, and looking to bring that speed and expertise back to the front of the field here on the Thursday circuit. Currently, the gap between Lucas Lodato and the slowest qualifying time taken goes back to Colton Gardner, some 6 miles an hour from 125.995 to 119.461. That's a gap of about 6 seconds over the course of the entire lap. Austin Bloom right now hoping to at least get into the middle of that fight. His previous lap was a 153.779, which would be the slowest time taken by any driver. Will be significantly slower than that of Gardner. So, as he now makes it through the final corner, the Parabolica, looks like Austin Bloom going to be significantly quicker this time by than his previous attempt, but still slower than he would like to be, bobbling out of the corner exit. And as Austin Bloom makes it across the line here with 1 minute and 10 left on the clock, this is it. 143, 146, still good for fourth place. And Austin Bloom is showing that expertise comes in handy. Gets himself up inside the top 5 and comfortably does so. All the while, Jason Harris now is up next. Harris not able to get a validated time in, and so he's going to slam right in to corner number 1, get back on the way. Looks like he's not going to have enough time to finish the job for this final lap. And so as a result, we're going to have to wait a little while longer to see where Jason will officially start. Corey Blevins not able to take a time either. 17 drivers taking officially validated laps. Rest of the field going to be shuffled based on their I rating. It appears Matt Muir getting up to P11 to kick off the night, only to be usurped there by Sebastian Miller. Miller gets up to 7th. Lucas Lodato getting victories to open up the season, winning at Daytona, then going back-to-back immediately afterward, has the most wins on the season, and usually, the past 2 seasons anyway, we've been writing these road courses off his victories. Lodato, who got his first ever victory, season 17 in Montreal, is looking to do it once again. Lucas finds himself P1 with the pole position for our 1-hour Grand Prix. Drivers get to their starting grid now to learn the field from top to bottom. Drivers lining up just under the bridge here. There's Lucas Lodato, and he's got company with him. So let's get to know your starting grid from top to bottom. Of course, stacked in talent, and now stacked as they make their way through the final segment of the circuit. Lucas Lodato far and away puts the quickest time in at 141.732, quicker than Chad Winstead's time by nearly 3/4 of a second. His 142.488, good for second place on the roster. Then you'll have Roberto Ramirez qualifying with a 143.134 for third, and Austin Bloom nearly knocking him off the podium in qualifying, just about 13 thousandths of a second off. That's Austin Bloom for fourth place, with Scott Wheeler, Scott Zellner, the teammates, the Flying Scotsmen, in that finding themselves positions 5 and 6. Then from there, you'll have Sebastian Miller, Joshua Sim, Dawson Buchanan, and Tyler Hampton rounding out the top 10. Connor Holden and Matt Muir will be 11 and 12th, with then the number 23 of Terry Brooks, Jacob Halm 13 and 14th. Caleb Morrissey would round out the top 15 with Jim Fott 16th and Colton Gardner, the final driver to take a time, in 17th. DJ Stagner starts P18, the first driver without a time. Adam Bozzi and Dylan Poteet end the top 20. P21, Jimmy McKee, Corey Blevins in 22nd, Matthew Rodriguez 23rd, Sean Billman 23rd, of course, just to be put behind by one. He'll be 24th officially, and Jason Harris will be your 25th and final driver to start tonight. 35 laps expected. This race coming down to time, however, a 60-minute timed Grand Prix. The iRacing pace car goes low. It'll be final appearance. No full course yellows. And will be green from start to finish. 60 racing minutes, no interruptions, the field all out. The race-winning favorite undeniably remains Lucas Lodato, winning the past 2 road course races in this league consecutively. But behind him will be 2 drivers who won in Season 14, and Chad Winstead and Roberto Ramirez, respectively. And, of course, Austin Bloom, a driver who's won road course events in this league just through the Development Truck Series. Your best 4 road course racers find themselves up in front. 2-time champion and the winningest driver in league history right behind as well. Coming out of the Parabolica, the iRacing pace car lets Lucas Lodato chase after his 3rd victory this season and his 3rd consecutive road course win. Of course, now Lodato's got the keys to bring this race to green. Welcome back to the International Tour. We are underway from Monza. Lucas Lodato and Chad Winstead lead us into our opening Lesma chicane. Lucas Lodato breaks out, and as anticipated, he finds himself race leader by some 0.8 of a second over Chad Winstead and Roberto Ramirez. For Ramirez, he's looking for a redemption race. Last time we went at it, road course racing, Lodato won, and Ramirez had to come from the back of the field to even finish in second, having a dismal qualifying performance. And Ramirez felt that he gave away his shot to win that event. Unfortunately, it all came down to qualifying laps rather than his racing speed, where he remained nearly pace to pace with Lodato for the entire event. The only difference was that qualifying position to start. That meant he was coming from the back end of the field up rather than having the advantage at the head of the field. And Ramirez right now, although he qualified significantly better, is already about 2 seconds back on Lodato, coming to lap number 2. Our predicted 35 on the day. Impact getting it together. Colton Gardner now going to be the last driver of the field. Jim Fott, who went in big time, as you saw. We had some troubles making it in through our chicanery, quite literally. And it looks like now Fott's going to find himself 24th and last of the drivers who started. One driver did not start this event. That will be Jimmy McKee. Looks like his continued computer troubles have cost him many a race already. And he's in the back of the field once again. This time, however, given the fact we don't have any stopping on the racing circuit, as in no full course yellows, it's going to be very bad news for that number 48, as it appears tonight is all but wasted just by virtue of that slip up and not getting things started. Chad Winstead will be second, Bernie Ramirez third, Austin Bloom fourth, Scott Zellner in fifth. And then you got Caleb Morrissey now running very strong, P6. And some fan support in the chat room. SSBB Nightwing coming in for Morrissey. So far, Caleb up the most of anyone inside the top 10 to go from 15th to 8th to open up the nights. A little bit dirtier the sides of that number 6 are, but it looks like the dirty work gets him up in front. Morrissey won't have to concern himself all too much about making gains from here on out. He's already gotten himself the uppercut, moving up to the front of the field. That is a great place to be, of course, if you're a driver like Caleb here. That number 6 knows he's got the advantage now compared to the guys he started around. Keep himself up here just by virtue of hitting his marks. Not expecting to see a lot of that aggressive green flag racing. Drivers aren't the strongest at these road courses since they don't race here all too much. Some guys like Lucas Lodato, certainly an exception. When you look at the majority of the field, it's very unlikely they're going to have the stuff to go at it consistently for aggressive side-by-side battles. Although up for this top 5, wouldn't be surprised all too much if we saw anything more of that. Here's Austin Bloom coming up on Roberto Ramirez. Austin Bloom now getting significantly closer to Ramirez, but he makes a little bit of an incorrect wiggle there as we go through Lesmus 1 and 2 and our way toward the Parabolica this time by. Once again, slow as he gets near the gravel trap, and that's going to give Scott Zellner an opportunity. Zellner going for P4 now. And Zellner, the all-time winningest driver, gets himself up there. That is Zellner for 4th. Might not be your race-winning driver. Of course, number 2 has done it 19 times before, and he's been strong this season already. But if Zellner finds trouble up ahead of him, he might be the dark horse to get the job done. Austin Bloom going to remain behind. Ramirez right now, that number 41, heading up high through the Parabolica with a little bit of hesitation as he slips through the midpoint of the circuit. See there, a little bit slower than he would like to be. Driver telemetry will give us a better understanding next time by. And he should give us, of course, a better lap. Hoping to be consistent with it. He's about 4.5 seconds down on Lucas Lodato. Chad Winstead finding himself second, some 2 behind on Lodato in the 7. And already in 6 minutes, Lodato has a clear and comfortable edge on the remainder of the field. And it's undeniable, of course, that there's something about this number 7 this season that proves he's got what it takes, not only for a race win like this, but to be such an early championship contender, such a breakout lead. Swamp Motorsports crew as a whole has done an amazing job in nurturing this young talent. His first season with the Swamp, and they've been trying to get him for several seasons now. And with the help and the backing of the veteran man and DJ Stagner, I think we've seen the progression of Stagner, of course, and Lodato alike as a duo that is most exciting. DJ has 1 win on the season. Finds himself right now running at 8th. He might not be the best of those road course guys, but he's an ace on the ovals. And Lucas Lodato already with 2 victories. If the Swamp wins again today by virtue of Lodato up in front, or perhaps Stagner, company of his nature, Swamp guys, I think it would be very likely we'll 4 for 4 and extend that streak into next week wherever we go racing. Again, not confirmed where we go racing next week. Schedule randomizer keeps things as exciting as they get. Number 7 to Lucas Lodato now making his way out of the Parabolica once more. 3-second gap over Chad Winstead. Berger Ramirez 4.5 back. That's that number 41 here. Scott Scott Zellner finding himself now a little bit more pressure. That's Austin Bloom getting back to his tail end. Take a ride on board now at the number 3. You'll see exactly what he's doing. Driver telemetry. Shifting all the way down to first gear, not something we often saw with those Xfinity cars, but the Gen 6 machines are so good at spooling up at that low gear, giving enough power for it to be justified, even if you end up spinning around those tires a little bit more. Scott Zellner's got to watch his 6, because the back end has remained rather intense, even though it looks like right now, number 2 still has the edge. Opening 10 minutes of this race have gone by without a hitch. Lucas Lodato leading all 5 completed laps so far, and it's undeniable that then from there you got Chad Winstead, Roberto Ramirez, Scott Zellner, and Austin Bloom concluding the top 5. The gap between all of them is about 6.6 seconds, and you'd have to more than double that, nearly triple that to get down to 10th place in Joshua Sim. Sim now getting up to a hot battle as Sebastian Miller for the Swamp gets to the inside now of 6. That's Caleb Morrissey for the 4 Horsemen. Miller heads to the inside here, and even with a little bit of that left front damage, Sebastian looks to be faster, now entering the Lesmos and going toward the Parabolica. See here, the 83 taking it very nice and smooth on the inside, all the while, Morrissey overshoots it through the Parabolica. He'll have to go all the way up to the high outer lining, costing him 2 positions in Terry Brooks and Connor Holden. That's going to move Morrissey back into 12th place, and while he's still ahead, of course, qualifying in 15th, he's now losing those gains. Number 70 finds himself as the next driver. Here comes Caleb Morrissey making his way through. Looks like now Caleb finds himself 13th, +2 on the day. Lucas Lodato up 3.3. Further back, the mid-pack still remains the most intense in the circuit. There's Terry Brooks fighting for a top 10. And it's exciting to see Terry Brooks continue to get these good runs in. He's become more of a frequent, semi-frequent, shall we say, podium contender. Very challenging, of course, to make this number 23 team get things done for the top 3. It's such a competitive field, the Highline Racing League, with 20-some drivers who can, any given race, get up there for the podium. Meanwhile, although he hasn't quite gotten a victory yet, best finish coming in as a second-place run. He's in at 16. Going at it with Chad Winstead. Gotten close. Top 3s have not been an unfamiliar compromise for Terry Brooks, although the victory has been close. Hasn't quite got his way yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see more from him on the left-turning circuits. Right now, Matt Muir makes the move by. That will put Brooks back into 12th. Now Terry Brooks around the outside. Looks for a pass, but can't quite get it. Now make our way through to the Lesmo. Right now, most of the circuit is going to be rather empty, and that's the nature of such a large circuit. You can see the Ascari, where we go all the way under the hill. That's where our driver started, completely blanked out. There's Jason Harris. Harris right now is going to be 22nd, and it appears he is one of the final drivers on the lead lap. 88 struggling in qualifying, getting a little bit of damage, it looks like. You can see the clip on the right front, slightly bent up, and he's going to spin. The 88 in trouble. That's Jason Harris once again. Looks like going around on his lonesome. Unfortunate that Harris is having such issues. Meanwhile now, Roberto Ramirez getting closer to the front of him. Chad Winstead. Than he is to falling back to Zellner. A little bit of a slide there from Tyler Hampton. He'll end up outside the top 10 as a result. Luckily, he saves it. But that could have been real tricky there for the number 5. And luckily drifting not out of control, but out of position. That moves Tyler down to 12th place, and that's going to give spots right back to Seb Miller, Joshua Sim, Connor Holden, and of course now Terry Brooks. Matt Muir right in there too. And Connor Holden unbelievably gets up to 9th place, and Connor Holden is having such a good season relative to what we've seen of him before. Last season, he was able to come away with a race victory, got the job done at Phoenix. That was his final race of season 18, but he wasn't necessarily a exciting driver, shall we say, at the front of the field on a week-in, week-out basis. Not consistent in the slightest. Proved to be solid, and he got a victory, but that's basically all there was to him. But in what we've seen as of late, Connor Holden has turned to a significantly better driver with 2 podiums so far on the campaign. And, of course, you saw that top 5 at the Pocono Raceway. It was a very challenging one for him to get. Despite the fact he and eventual winning teammate DJ Stagner had damage, they came back and finished 1st and 5th respectively, showing the swamp is strong no matter where we go. And it's perhaps the most dominant team effort we have seen in seasons, harkening back to the days of Scott Wheeler's dominant streak. However, it looks like once again tonight, qualifying effort for Scott Wheeler has not proven to be indicative of his race pace. The 97 right now, Wheeler finding himself ducking to the inside of Jacob Halm. You can see right here, that Ford Mustang is having some big troubles. A little bit of damage and losing many a position, trying to get himself back up there. So that's going to put Scott Wheeler once again. So right now, running in a 16th spot just behind Dawson Buchanan to get up inside of the top 15. Canada's the next challenge. "46 minutes left on the clock. The first quarter, as we say, is coming to a quick close. Vic Leach in the chat room, thank you for stopping by and talking about Monza as compared to Le Mans. I mean, unfortunately, we at FTN have never gone to Le Mans for any race, which is something we would like to change in due time. But I haven't personally seen it play on in iRacing, to my expertise anyway. But Monza does ride real different. You know, the thing about Monza is, much like the Nürburgring, or much like what Le Mans was, public roads turned into permanent racing facility. 1922, that's when this track came to be in its first ever iteration, and it is the 3rd oldest official purpose-built motor racing circuit, as officially claimed by the staff of that track itself. The only ones it comes subsequent to, the Brooklyns of the United Kingdom, and for the Americans, the United States, of course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's an archaic circuit, and the pavement is a bit worn out, and you can see it, and you can feel it when you're inside the cockpit. I would like to think that although Le Mans is not necessarily generous, it is much more generous than a Monza or especially a Sebring if we're comparing international circuits. Matt Muir coming up now on the 83 Sebastian Miller, and Terry Brooks right there too. Side by side to the inside, Matt Muir and Terry Brooks going alongside each other. And you'll have Tyler Hampton now racing Adam Bozzi. Bozzi gets up to P12 on that maneuver. Now Matt Muir getting up to the outside of Terry Brooks, makes the pass. That's the move for 10th. The battle to stay inside the top 10 has been remarkably intense all night long. And it looks like Terry Brooks once again finds himself on the outside looking in, although many a time he's been up there on the inside. A few times he's been several spots out. Take a look at your highs and lows for the 23. Currently in 11th, as high as 11th. For a few instances, time and again, he's gotten inside of that 10th place, but he's gone as low as 14th. Brooks has been up and down, but he's kept himself consistent and calm. That's one thing a driver has to understand. Not often will the racing go your way, but to adapt to it is what really makes you a strong guy and a strong contender on the circuit. Adam Bozzi going to be 12th. Tyler Hampton going to be 13th, and Dawson Buchanan further back. P14th as it stands. Looks like he's going to let Scott Wheeler get by, and Wheeler now making his charge to get back perhaps inside the top dozen. Wheeler, knowing the downs a little bit better than the ups, qualifying and starting in 5th, going down to a low of 22nd, and now on that recovery route from the bottom of where he was in 22nd, he's gone up to 14th place. Looks like now about halfway through the recovery route, although you can see, especially through these downforce heavy corners, he's quite slow. Roberto Ramirez, third flat. Really no difference between where he started and where he is. Sure, he would love to change that, but Chad Winstead's been keeping him honest all throughout. Ever since the arrival of Lucas Lodato, these two have not been able to win one road course race. However, in season 14, both these guys came away with one apiece. Roberto Ramirez getting the job done in Sonoma, and Chad Winstead getting the victory in Mid-Ohio, which for both of them was their first victories in the FTN era of competition, respectively. Winstead has become a champion. Ramirez, not yet, but he still holds hope that he can find that consistent streak, as he is a multi-time winner ever since that event. Still finds himself third here. I can't expect we would get the happiest of Roberto Ramirez interviews after this race if he finishes in third, however. Oftentimes, such a competitive driver, such as Ramirez, who knows he has the stuff, he's very disappointed to see that he can't get it out on top as he's perhaps expecting to. One of the best at these road courses, been that way for years. Inspired motorsport designer, not found that winning streak ever since the arrival of Lodato, who has the backing of one of the esports super teams in Nexus Esports. "20 minutes down and give or take 40 minutes to go here. Monza keeping things exciting. Now Terry Brooks going to hop over the curbing and try to get up to Adam Bazzi. Brooks again, just one spot on the outside while Adam Bazzi looks in. Take a ride on board now with Terry Brooks as he plays the gatekeeper to the top 10. Bit of the gravel now. He'll slow down significantly. Not enough pressure from Tyler Hampton to get there. Coming off the Parabolica, although Brooks has lost a little bit of time, it looks like now Adam Bazzi and Matt Muir are the men keeping each other honest as they fight for the single-digit honors. Matt Muir for 9th, Adam Bazzi for 10th, and it looks to the inside now, the ducking low, the 27's got a shot. The inside, Adam Bazzi, that's for 9th. This Craftsman Toyota Camry is a proven driver and a proven winner. Unfortunately, this season we haven't seen all too much of that just yet, but I have no doubt when Adam Bazzi hits his stride, he's going to be in there. Perhaps his best ever run was season 16, 2 consecutive victories, and he found himself in the championship fight as an unexpected driver to contend with, of course, among many others, the winningest man of all time in Scott Zellner. But since that point, victory, of course, hard to come by. But we don't think that Bazzi's down and out by any means. He's just getting to grips with the Gen 6 as is everyone else. So far, as we've changed again from the Gen 4s and the Next Gens to the Xfinity cars and the Gen 6 machines, we've noticed that sort of the stereotypes of who's up front have dictated everything more than what we expect out of an individual driver's performance. As in, road course guys will always be in front no matter where we go, with what type of car. Super Speedway guys will always dominate the Super Speedways despite the packages. And that has proven very true so far in our opening races with this brand new package. I'm not expecting much to change to open things up for this season, perhaps for season 20. Comes up next season, actually, not just next year, next season. Summer of 2025 and then on. Could see more of that variation. It's the opposite of when the NASCAR Cup Series introduces a new package, because usually that introduces some parity. I think it's the opposite when you bring a new car to some sim racing guys on equal equipment. To the line, Scott Wheeler still with Sebastian Miller. Rooting for the number 3, Alexandria, thank you for stopping by. Austin Bloom with the fan support. And Nick Leach, of course, coming out for Chad Winstead, who's hoping to go for the W tonight. And you can see there, Roberto Ramirez getting caught up in the gravel. And it's going to cost him big time. Here comes Scott Zellner, and it looks like the all-time winningest man is looking for another podium. Said previously, Ramirez was making more gains up front than dropping further back. Unfortunately and ironically, that is no longer the case, and it looks like instead he's getting pressure from that tail end more than anything else here. Zellner is getting real close, and Ramirez is going to have to watch and be a little bit more patient inside the cockpit. Even with the draft coming out of that Parabolica, you could see here that Scott Zellner is not able to get up to Roberto Ramirez. Just can't quite happen. 14 laps in at the 34. Scott Zellner about a quarter of a second back, and he still hasn't found the right rhythm, the right circumstance to make a pass on his competitor in the number 41. There's Jim Fott. Jim is a lapper. He's the final driver on track now. Jason Harris, after that incident we saw previously, has retired. Looks like his night coming to a premature close. He will finish 24th on the day as a result. Connor Holden, 9th place here. 81 machine for the swamp, getting things done. And then you got that Adam Bozzi machine, number 27. Bozzi is 8th. Holden is 9th. Terry Brooks is B10. And it looks like finally, he's not the gatekeeper. He finds himself inside the door. Taking a while, but this is the highest position he's run in. 10th to 14th. Roberto Ramirez right now going to be falling a little bit further back as he gets passed by Scott Zellner. Let's take that instant replay and show you just what happened and why it happened. Ramirez falters, and we might not, of course, get an interview out of him if he doesn't finish in the podium. And now he is far out of it. Here's why. Going wide, letting Zellner through, and a major mistake. Lucas Lodato now 6 seconds up with 35 minutes left on the clock. We are expecting to see now a split strategy. You want to get to the end. One pit stop necessary. At the 30-minute mark, we might see drivers begin to head in. Scott Zellner, 9 seconds back on leader Lodato. First time all night long, he's inside the podium. He's gone from where he started, P6, back up to the top 3. An exciting time now for Scott Zellner, but the job is far from finished. Still, just more than half of this race remains. Scott Zellner's got to pull it through on his own merit from here, with pace and all. Terry Brooks is once again going to be just outside. As a matter of fact, he finds himself in 12th again. He has been up and down all night, going up 2 spots, down 2 spots. This time he goes down and lets Tyler Hampton and Matt Muir both get a piece of the pie. All the while, Connor Holden is up in the single digits now. That might change as Matt Muir looks to reverse his status. And that'll take the number 70 up to 9th and Holden P10. Hampton nearly putting the bumper there with the 81. Connor Holden gets away, but that was just by virtue of circumstance. Don't think that was meant to be any intentional contact, but also Holden just backing it up perfectly, not to make contact. Hampton letting off at the right time, and now as we make it under Ascari and make our way to the final segment of the circuit, approaching slowly but surely the opening Parabolica. It's like Connor Holden again, no competition for P10. At the line, DJ Stagner going to be scored firmly in 6th, and it looks like now drivers are heading into pit road. Roberto Ramirez, the very first of which, take a look on the left side of your screen. We'll bring you all the tire stint data, which means laps since last pit is what we're going to evaluate. For the drivers who are on now 15, 16 lap runs, they have not gone down a pit road. For those who have gone down a pit road, their lap since last pit indicator will be down to the 0 or the 1, which means they just went in. Higher is effectively worse because everyone has to come down and in and reset to 0 within the next 10 minutes, no matter what. Lucas Lodato in that number 7, finding himself far and away, either giving the signal to come in this time by or the next. It looks like right about now, splitting it 50-50 is the best way to go at it. Haven't seen the official call yet, coming for race control for the number 7. Lodato, Winstead, Zellner with the shot to go in this time by. Roberto Ramirez, Sean Billman, first to do it. And looks like Lodato has a chance to be next. At the line, no dice. Lodato stays out. For Chad Winstead. 60's coming around the final corner. And he'll be driver on the run. He'll stay out, as does Scott Zellner, Austin Bloom. No dice, he'll remain on circuit. And finally, of the top 5, DJ Stagner. No takers up in front. We stay green, untampered by pit stop strategy. Lucas Lodato now updates, of course, his status as lap leader from 16 to 17 consecutive laps, as he looks to lead from inch to inch on another dominant run. Win number 3 awaits if he can just replicate these opening 30 minutes with the latter of them. And for a driver who's made it look so easy so far, who else but Lodato to do it once again and find a victory? The 3rd time in 4 races, bringing the Swamp Motorsports crew to their 4th straight win. Roberto Ramirez in number 41 right now. Of course, 1 lap in from his pit road stint. It looks like he's going to be scored in 12th place, trying to get himself up naturally into the top 10 before drivers cycle into pit road, which looks like it's going to come in the next few minutes. Dawson Buchanan and Connor Holden are just ahead as well. Then you got Terry Brooks, who runs P9 as it stands. And Tyler Hampton is a few tenths up. Side by side, a little bit of a wiggle there. Here comes Connor Holden. The bobble is good for the 81. Give Terry Brooks a shot back, but it gives the 81 a shot forward. Connor Holden now up into 9th place once again, as Roberto Ramirez now enters the fight, and Terry Brooks gets sent back again. Such a back and forth night for that 23, and once more he's on the back end as Ramirez on new rubber forces through. 29 minutes remaining and counting down for our second half. If you've enjoyed tonight's coverage, we'd of course like to thank the person and the developing staff, shall we say, who brought it to you. iRacing Motorsport Simulations, and the multitude of people who keep this simulation platform up and running. For more than 16 years now, iRacing Motorsport Simulations have been leading, cutting edge, as real as it gets, virtual racing action. Laser scan tracks, laser scan cars, and affiliations with all the world's leading bodies of motorsport, including Formula 1, Indycar, NASCAR, the World of Outlaws, and so much more. Visit iRacing.com for additional information on how you can register to join the sim racing world and start your career today. Of course, we'd love to see what you have in store in terms of your virtual racing talent. 28 minutes left on the clock. Lucas Lodato still yet to pit. We'll bring you a message from our friend at iRacing.com, and we will return right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
With 27 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock now, Lucas Lodato is still not gone down to pit road. Looks like now Chad Winstead, Scott Zellner, Austin Bloom all have, and Roberto Ramirez has more or less cycled up to them. Ramirez at the line there with 7th place, and it looks like he's getting significantly closer. Even still, he's falling out of the podium, and it looks like he's falling backwards relative to that qualifying position. Lucas Lodato, DJ Stagner, and Joshua Sim are now top 3. Lodato is 16 seconds ahead of DJ Stagner. 40 seconds up, Joshua Sim. In his own zip code tonight, Lucas Lodato, he can decide when to go down a pit road whenever he would like. And he's made that especially evident as he stays out once again. As for Stagner, 64 now, making his move through the Parabolica. And no dice just yet. We'll figure out the official verdict this time by. DJ Stagner still stays out. Joshua Sim lastly. He'll be next up as now Chad Winstead passes him. Winstead again is on new rubber. Joshua Sim is not. Here's now that number 51. Find himself in trouble. We'll see if he decides to come down a pit road this time by. Of course, a perfect opportunity to do so. Hasn't quite bit the bullet. And Joshua Sim also opts to remain on circuit. Lucas Lodato now has led 20 consecutive laps, not gone down to pit road, and leads the field by at least 16 plus seconds over DJ Stagner and company. Undeniably a dominant performance, but we're now waiting to see whether or not he decides to head down and into pit road soon, or if he just tries to stretch it out as long as possible. We were expecting the 30-30 split to work out the best in terms of 30 minutes for each run. But tonight, it looks like that has not been the case, with drivers going longer for stronger performances. Here's Sebastian Miller, number 83 now, makes his way through. Notably, Adam Bozzi now chasing after Scott Wheeler. Wheeler getting himself now up inside the top 10. 8th place as it stands, and he's on new rubber, so a big improvement what we saw previous. It looks like Scott Wheeler's got a shot at the top 10 after all. Not the strongest of first halves by any means, but it looks like now the recovery is real. He might put himself in the perfect situation. Go for a single-digit finish. 2-lap-old rubber that time by should be give or take 12 laps old by the time this race ends. And that should be good enough to finish without losing major time unless he makes a mistake on his own accord. Lodato on his way. DJ Stagner also going down to pit road here, and Chad Winstead is coming by. It looks like Winstead will get by Stagner. But even still, Lucas Lodato comes out in the head. Winstead is faster. And it looks like no dice. Lodato is advantageous. Chad Winstead cannot get there. Winstead to the outside even still, but can't quite grab the race lead now. It looks like Lodato still having the advantage. But into a left-handed corner, Lodato does not have the apex. Chad Winstead to the point for the first time tonight. Lodato down low. And he'll have the edge through the apex. Chad Winstead, the closest anyone has been all night long to capturing the lead from Lucas Lodato, and he's putting up a valiant effort. But even still, Winstead slides up the circuit, and he gives up the shot. That might be the final chance anyone has to usurp Lucas Lodato, and it goes up in smoke. Literally speaking, Lucas Lodato gets away. "22 minutes and change on the clock now, and of course, usually with 22 laps to go, we like to mention this, but coming up to lap number 22, there are 22 minutes left to go, so we'd like to, of course, talk about it now. Thanks to our partners at Whiplash SimCams, iRacing videography and broadcasting cameras have gotten that much better, that much faster. We'd like to thank Pitstop TV for welcoming us, of course, to the Whiplash SimCams family and bringing the action to FTN Broadcasting viewers all throughout the year with iRacing's newest, most relevant, and increasingly updated platform package for broadcast cameras with no licensing fee and no restriction on individual package use. Tracks and cars are sold at $5 a piece, so visit Whiplash SimCams on their social media platforms to learn about invoicing and quoting today and become a partnered broadcast network. 21 minutes and change now on the clock, and as we usually do, I think we should crank it up now. Live, uncensored, and unfiltered from the field, let's get to hearing what's going on here in Italy. From Monza, the Highline Racing League Premier Series goes to work overseas. Lucas Lodato dominant. Let's crank it up now from Italy. You're watching HLRL coverage on FTN. Live, uncensored, unrestricted. It's time to go crank it up. Brought to you by Whiplash SimCams. With less than 19 minutes now on the circuit, Lucas Lodato is ahead again by 5 seconds. I don't think that's much a surprise. Been the man tonight, and he is keeping it that way. Lest he makes any mistakes, which so far he, again, has not made one of note. Looks like, again, he's going to find himself in victory lane. It will be his third of the season, and his third at a road course in the Highline Racing League. And talk about dominance, talk about precision. There's no one else who's done it like Lucas Lodato, and he's making sure that everyone knows that time and time again. Connor Holden going to get a little bit loose there, drifting back and forth. Swamp number 81 has fallen a little bit further back than he would like, in 11th place. Still not a bad race by any means, but felt a little more comfortable running in the single digits. He was as high as 8th, has been as low as 18th, of course, 15th officially. Saw him scuffling down low as a result of the pit stop cycle, but he's been a top 15 driver comfortably and consistently now. Looks like even then, hasn't quite gotten himself firmly into the top 10. He's gotten close, yes, but it doesn't look like the job is done. Adam Bozzi going to be 8th now. Looks like Scott Wheeler, who's on that rebound run from what was admittedly a subpar first half, is continuing his drive up. Going down from as low as 22nd all the way up to P7. Qualified officially in 5th, by the way, so he was only down 2 on the day after falling almost 20 spots behind. Just goes to show the commitment that Wheeler right now has to exemplary pace, even with the setbacks, and this is perhaps one of his most impressive runs in the past year. We know that Wheeler has the capability to dominate. There's Sean Billman, the lapper, and we've seen it before as he's a 2-time back-to-back champion of seasons 13 and 14, but oftentimes we don't focus on when the driver is down and has to make their way up. For Scott Wheeler tonight, he's had to focus on that, and it's been a bit of a burden, but he's taken it in stride and has gotten up front by virtue of putting in that effort. And he finds himself up front now in perhaps the best spot he's been all night long. While it looks like it's going to be nearly impossible to get up there for 6th or 5th, as Roberto Ramirez right now is P6, about 19 seconds behind where he would like to be, of course. Try to be up there with the podium. He's also 19 seconds up on Scott Wheeler. It's certainly one of the most frustrating road course appearances for the Roberto Ramirez crew. And I would think that even though the Chicago street course race was dismal in terms of its feeling, he finished 2nd in that race. Was able to come through and get himself a podium. Tonight, it does not look like Ramirez, despite the better qualifying effort, will have what it takes to finish with the top 3. Just doesn't look like it's going to work out. Jim Fountain, the number 21, right now getting some fan support. Thank you, Ground Conformity, for coming in and supporting the number 21 from Hoosier Buckeye Racing. The 2-car entity sees its rookie driver right now running in 19th. He's 3 laps down as it stands. "15 minutes remaining, and Ty Smith of the Swamp Motorsport Enterprise coming in. And Ty, admittedly, we weren't going to read this one out because we immediately read it wrong. But a hostage scenario is what we read. But shout out again to Ryan Potter, that number 99. He's out with his girlfriend tonight, it appears. We were worried at first as we quickly glanced over. Oh, there's Sean Billman. Billman spins again. That's the 0-6. We'll play that back right now with 14 minutes on the clock. What we originally read that as is girlfriend was missing. Looks like that's not the case, and that's, of course, good to hear. Thank you, Ty, for coming in, and shout out Ryan Potter. Hopefully we see him racing a little bit more. Haven't seen him all too much in the past few weeks, neither on Mondays or Thursday nights, and he's sorely missed. There's Lucas Lodato, but meanwhile, when you look back, Sean Billman going through, he was already stalled by that point. One more time, focus on Billman, and you'll see what happened here. Sean was going through on his lonesome, and this is the second spin of his we've caught in the past 5 laps. Looks like this Ford Mustang just struggling with grip tonight. You know what makes that struggle harder? Horrible sausage curbs. And that's something we don't see a lot in American road racing, and that's a great thing. When we go to Watkins Glen or we go to Sonoma or any track of that nature, we don't have those sausage curbs which will take a car right out of its rhythm. Oh, Billman, way wide, almost up to the tire barrier. Well, I don't think there's any excuses I can make on that one with regards to curbing. Going right deep into the parabolica. Billman with trouble. Those sausage curbs are something that we see only in international tracks like Monza, and they're dangerous as they come. And I'm quite frankly surprised that we see them to this day in professional motorsport. That's an American opinion, perhaps bias based on the fact we never see it here. Even still, I don't know how much good that would do. For a driver like Billman there, you can see as he came off with the rear wheels, he completely spun around. And had there not been any curbing in that area, I think he would have been just fine to just get away as soon as he was, of course, caught out. Lucas Lodato, 8.6 seconds back. We're going to hear from your top three finishers after this, and currently the lineup is Lucas Lodato, Chad Winstead, and Scott Zellner, but we got to stay alert here. The battle for third is getting as close as it gets. Here comes now Austin Bloom in the number 3, and he's getting up there within 1/10 of a second now of Scott Zellner, the all-time winningest man, versus a driver who we would say is rather underrated at these road circuits, but he's showing out tonight. He's 4th, looking for his first podium of the season. Austin Bloom in the Orioles number 3 is there with 12 minutes on the clock. Very real chance he gets the job done and executes here. Zellner's got to look back. 11 minutes and change on the clock now. Time is ticking. The final sector of this race is in full effect. And we're estimated now to have some 7 laps to go. We're at lap number 28. Finishing lap looks to be 35 according to iRacing estimates here. So we're going to have, give or take, a lap every minute and 45 on the average. Of course, including that pit stop cycle when drivers went into a significantly slower pace. Lucas Lodato still ahead by 8.8 seconds. Austin Bloom, however, has gotten the 3rd position. And now it'll be Scott Zellner on the back end. Bloom, for the first time, up inside the top 3. And talk about a performance tonight for Austin Bloom. Long awaited. And you can see exactly how he did it here. Coming out of the Parabolica with momentum. And into our opening chicane. Boom. Austin Bloom for 3rd. Right back in front, still has that lead. This battle for 3rd. Scott Zellner, of course, is only about a half second off, and that could change at any moment. But currently it appears that number 3 of Austin Bloom has the advantage and might be able to hang on till the tail end. Dawson Buchanan now going to face some pressure from Joshua Sim. This is the fight for the 11th spot. Joshua Sim doesn't have it, but he surely wants it. Buchanan possesses the spot. He's in jeopardy now of losing it, but we'll see exactly what happens here. Buchanan's got a minor edge still, but it is anything major, and it could be one slip-up that makes the difference. And we've noticed that all night long. One mistake is the game changer. Now Scott Zellner is ahead again of Austin Bloom. Watch as the number 3 uses the draft. Does he replicate the same pass? At the line. Bloom looking low. He's got it down to the inside now on Scott Zellner. There's nothing he can do but hope he doesn't dive too deep. Bloom again takes P3. Zellner's going to watch and wait. That's exactly how it's done. Classic back and forth driving at a circuit like Monza. Making use of that overtaking zone to the perfect extent that we've seen it many a time before. And that's a professional move there, just waiting till the draft gives you enough of a run to naturally glide to the inside. That's something that even the great blocks of a veteran driver very rarely avoid. Joshua Sim right now finding himself perfect spot. Maybe do the same position and do the same pass, shall we say. But he hasn't quite gotten that good of a run. Maybe he's backing off just because he knows it's a risky move, waiting for too late in the game for a recovery. So far, Dawson Buchanan still has his number and keeps him right behind. Austin Bloom even still gets back up to 3rd, and not only that, he's now gaining more time to his advantage. DJ Stagner is 5th, and you might notice that he's slowly but surely creeping up into this fight. Stagner, a driver who won last week, of course, and maybe wasn't expected to go out there and fight for another today. Looking for his 2nd consecutive podium as he looks to get his team back to victory lane for the 4th consecutive week. Of course, Lucas Lodato with the honors of doing so up in front net number 7. But Stagner, the only other winner this season beside Lodato. Who else but the 64 to get up inside the podium late and make it more exciting for the Swamp? Still, it's all Lucas Lodato here with 7 minutes and 57 on the clock. Austin Bloom still has third, and it looks like now he's got more than a half second. The biggest advantage he's had in this entire run. Seven minutes and 35 seconds left on the clock, and time continues to tick down. Adam Bozzi now catching up to Scott Wheeler once again. Take a look on board now with Bozzi as he makes through. Riding aboard in the fight, Austin Bloom still has himself the edge here, just has to continue holding his line, hitting his marks. Now Dawson Buchanan coming up on the fight with Tyler Hampton and Joshua Sim. Sim is up to 10th, Hampton is now in 11th, Buchanan is in P12. And still, with 6 minutes and 30 left and time ticking down, every lap is significantly more important. Appears we'll have just enough time for at the very least 3 more complete laps. Nothing all too significant, of course, for some of these guys in the bottom mid-pack, but for the guys in the upper who are still fighting for a top 10 like Tyler Hampton, can't afford to lay off the throttle here. I think that Hampton still has a little bit more left in him. He better use it. Joshua Sim has been able to break away now, and he's trying to get away for the final stretch. If you've enjoyed tonight's coverage so far, make sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel here on FTN Broadcasting. We cover the Highline Racing League every Thursday night. That's right, from here to May, we only have 2 breaks in the schedule, and they're coming. One is coming pretty soon in 2 weeks' time, but from there on out, you'll have a full free month of broadcasting coming through, and then we'll have one other break coming scheduled to end the month of April, begin the month of May, and then we'll go from there. 5:25 on the clock. Want to, of course, tune in with more coverage of the Highline Racing League. Like this stream, subscribe to FTN Broadcasting. It's the best way to keep yourself updated, and follow our social media platforms, FTN Broadcasting on Instagram and Twitter. Tyler Hampton now finds himself alone in 11th here. Looks like he's not quite in the battle between Joshua Sim and the lapper and Jim Fott. Joshua breaking away, and it looks like he's got P10 on his lonesome. Scott Zellner still trailing Austin Bloom. And DJ Stagner now has Scott right in the middle, as you can see. Really doesn't look like now Zellner's putting the pressure on. In fact, it looks like the pressure is being paced and placed on him. He's got to watch his pace now for certain, because if Zellner falls back any further and gets any slower, lose a spot real quick. And if not, well, he might end up making a significant mistake. Got to see how well he composes himself in these last moments. Of course, Zellner, great veteran. I'm sure he, above all else, knows what it means to be clutch in the crunch. So I wouldn't expect to really shake out and make a huge error. But Austin Bloom right now has been holding on to this position and has not given it away for some 5 laps. It's about the best things have looked. Three minutes and 45 and still counting down. DJ Stagner getting closer and closer, coming down and under the Ascari. Looks like now Scott Zellner's just waiting for an error. Austin Bloom now ever so slightly getting in the gravel. That could have been major. And now completely off apex for 2 consecutive corners. Into the Parabolica. A great chance to recover now for the 3, but a great chance to get the offense going for the 2 of Zellner. it could go quite literally either way by virtue of the ups and downs of this track. DJ Stagner is still playing spectator, watching everything unfold. Coming to what is now officially lap 33 for the field, it looks like we'll have time for a total of 35 tonight. Lucas Lodato leads by some 8.5 seconds until the checkered flag falls. That's a final update we'll give on him, as it appears nothing has changed up and ahead. Meanwhile, for Scott Zellner, he is now back in third. Bloom's mistake getting him off apex sends the number 2 back up to P3. Bloom now has to go for one final overtaking attempt, with maybe 2 laps on the timing board here, and perhaps less as we continue to go through this next coming lap. There's not a lot of opportunity now for Austin Bloom to finish things off just right. He better take advantage of any, if any, opportunity arises. No guarantee he even gets that shot here. And I think that's something you have to keep in mind and acknowledge if you're Austin Bloom. Defending DJ Stagner remains as important, trying to get back up to Zellner. But it looks like now Stagner's got the pace. He'll blow right by Bloom and head deep into the gravel. Opportunistic DJ Stagner sends himself deep. Bloom retains 4th. Now it looks like DJ is going to be stuck in that slowdown penalty purgatory. Won't lose any other positions, but he definitely won't gain to Austin Bloom nor Scott Zellner. Riding aboard again now with Austin Bloom. Perhaps his penultimate chance this time by. Far too far behind. Not going to work out. A minute remaining on the clock now. Scott Zellner in a more comfortable position than he's been in the past 20 minutes. Everything all of a sudden working out his way. In a race that has been ups and downs, he's remained consistent with position, gaining 3, but it didn't look like he was going to hold on to that last spot he took until the last 5 minutes. Now, Bloom behind, and it looks like having more trouble making it back up time and again. Does not have the stuff. Chad Winstead, Jacob Hom, both alongside each other there briefly. No impact on the field. Coming out of 15 seconds to go, it looks like the white flag will be signaled this time by, and as a result, Lucas Lodato is not nearly close enough to trigger the next lap. 5 seconds and counting down. It's official. White flag is out. And coming through the parabolica this time by, Lucas Lodato has timed things perfect. He led from the very beginning to the very end. With already 2 wins on this full race season, why not add another? Coming to the checkered flag this time by, Lucas Lodato goes for his 3rd victory of the season. Swamp Motorsports remains undefeated. Lodato wins at Monza. What a drive for the number 7. Lucas Lodato gets it done. Now we're going to hear from your winning man immediately. Unfortunately, he's got places to be, so we'll talk to him right now. Get all the way from there. Burning down the house. Lodato gets the job done. With his 3rd victory of the season and his team's 4th straight, there is nobody superior now to Lodato and no team superior to his organization. at the Swamp. So we'll get that first word from your race winner coming right up here. Again, Lodato leading from beginning to end, and he did not falter all night long. The checkered flag will fall for the number 7 of Lucas Lodato, and he did so in an undefeated fashion from qualifying to each and every lap to victory lane once again. It's your third of the season, and perhaps when we looked at the schedule to start the year, this is the only one you had written off as a no-doubter. And you proved it today, Lucas. It's your third win of the season and your third straight of the road courses in the Highline Racing League.
Yeah, I mean, it's always really good to win in here. And I mean, Swamp, we've been so great for the start of the year. I'm very happy for us as a team. We've been all of us up towards the front of the points. If DJ would have started up front and not invalidated his qualifying lap, I think would have given me a real strong run for the win. But yeah, we've been rocking and rolling, man. I mean, it's awesome. I've been having a lot of fun over here. The guys have really all sort of, made me a part of the group, and I really appreciate that. And I've really found a home. It's really nice to be a part of Swamp. But yeah, it's been great. Like you said, I think this is kind of the one where I feel like I got to take care of business. I'm glad I did. I felt the least confident that I ever felt about stock car and road course with this particular package, but I guess I sort of figured it out. The braking was such a struggle for me. So when I saw that Monza got landed on, I was like, oh, awesome, all big braking zones. So, but yeah, it was a great race. Chad and I were pretty close there on my pit exit. I knew that if he had gotten by me, that I would have had the tires to the end. That's why I stayed out those extra 3 laps compared to him. I was a little bit worried about him jumping me. I was almost going to stay out for one more, but I made a lucky call and got to lead every lap. So that's awesome, great for the team. Just got to keep stacking those points, keep it rolling, and hopefully by the end of the year, the points lead will be insurmountable to the end, and we can just kind of have some fun. But, it's still really early. I'm not going to talk crazy. Just got to hope that our luck keeps going in the right direction.
And you mentioned new package here, the Gen 6 at the road course circuits compared to the Xfinity car. Were there any significant differences that really threw you off when you were at it tonight?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot heavier. And it's got more power. So you really have to be even more careful. And especially with how hot the track is, usually in these sessions, it's around 120 the whole race. You're sliding around everywhere, and that makes a difference between having a bit of pace at the end versus nothing. So, as long as you can keep care of your tires and keep it on the racetrack, you'll be good. So that's really what I was trying to focus on, and it worked out.
With another victory now on the catalog, maybe a chance to keep fighting for what could be your 4th. Next week, you go racing short track action. Going to be exciting to see what comes up there. Of course, it looks like we don't quite know exactly where we're going yet, but how do you feel about going small time after these big time events?
I think it highly depends on what track we end up getting. I was struggling with the braking just on the road courses, so thinking about having to do braking on the short tracks is a little nerve-wracking. But again, now that I've sort of built a little bit of a lead in the points, I can really just, focus on, it's not all or nothing. I just got to keep stacking points and being close at the end, So keep myself in it. That's what's important.
Well, Lucas Lodato getting the job done and another road course victory, perhaps the one we expected most of all. Any final comments you'd like to send out to the audience here? Of course, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I actually have a question for you, if that's okay. So I don't know if you saw, but in this recent iRacing update that came out this week, there was an announcement of the connection flag that will pull you off the track if you have a bad connection. And when it came out, it was revealed that it is only happening in certain sessions, official sessions, and not just all over the sim. So, do you believe the conspiracy that Jimmy McKee has paid off iRacing to delay the release of the connection flag and hosted sessions?
Why would it help him to do that?
Because he's been having a lot of internet troubles this season, and he's been blinking around the racetrack.
But I don't know if that. Might have to sleep on this one. You're making a convincing point. You're making
conspiracy theories always make you think, right?
Right. Yeah.
You know,
they did say it was coming out this week fully, right?
Yeah, it's out, but it's only in certain sessions as of right now. So, yeah, I'm a little worried about the sanctity of iRacing. You know, we might have people paying off to benefit in the Highline Racing League. So,
oh no.
You know, I've been hearing about those Cat 5 hurricanes that are coming through where DJ is at and Ty and them. You know, Jimmy needs to get him a Cat 5 Ethernet cable, you know?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, hopefully he gets that figured out. Now I see what you mean. I'll get back to you on that one fully. You bring up a good point.
Yeah, let me know.
Well, with that said, Lucas Logano, third victory, not only in terms of this season, but in terms of his road racing in the Westlake Premier Series. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, David. Thanks, everybody, for watching, putting on the league and all that. So thank you.
Lucas Logano on the move, and Chad Winstead finds himself second on the day. Winstead qualified in second and finished in second, much like a driver who finished just ahead of him. Chad Winstead, once again strong at the road courses, but just short of victory. 10 seconds, yes, but one position.
Yeah, it could have been a little bit closer. I made a few mistakes on that first run that cost me. And coming out of the pits there, Lucas, him and I were side by side. It was fun for about 2 seconds. But yeah, props to Lucas and good race again. If I could just get him on one road course, I'd be happy. I'd die happy.
Still a big challenge in getting up to that number 7, but tonight you were the glass of that remaining field here. And we talked to Lucas about this, and we'd like to ask you as well. You've dealt with the Next-Gen package, the Gen 4 package, the Xfinity package, and now the Gen 6 is here in the Premier Series at all respective road courses. Tonight, of course, a brand new challenge with this brand new package, and we haven't been to Monza before. So how was it managing something that really was completely unique and unknown to everyone?
Yeah, definitely unknown. I've never ran this car on a road course, and luckily I've ran Monza and like some GT3 cars and stuff, so I knew the track fairly well. But it's a different beast with these cars. Slippery, hot. It's a challenge for sure. That's a good word for it.
And it looks like tonight, tire strategy a little bit different than what we predicted in the booth. Drivers coming in a little bit past halfway. Any particular reason for trying to run it long?
Not for me, because I cooked the tires that first run, so I came in right at the 30-minute mark to try to uncut Lucas, and it almost worked, but I had a terrible end lap, and if it wasn't for that, I think it would have been a good call. But yeah, as far as who ran it long, I don't know if it worked out for them or not, but overall, I'm happy to get a podium. The last couple of weeks have been terrible getting collected in wrecks.
And looking to build that momentum back up. We know you well as a king of consistency, and the short tracks are up next. You got a pivotal win in your championship campaign at the Kern County Racing Circuit, so maybe a chance to bring some of that good momentum back to the small-time tracks. How do you feel about maybe going back to one of those smaller venues and getting back at it?
Yeah, I always look forward to the short tracks. It's a little bit of a crapshoot sometimes, and we can have some really good races and some really bad races there as a league. But I'm always looking forward to it. And like you said, I've had some decent history in this league on short tracks. So it's been a while since I've been in victory lane, so hopefully we can get back there.
Chad Winstead looking for the checkered flag next week. One spot off all the night today. Any final comments you'd like to send out? Of course, the floor is yours.
Yeah, shout out to my wife who's watching, and if anybody from the Pilot John crew at work is watching still, thanks for tuning in. And as always, thank you for putting on the broadcast, and Adam for running this fun league. And yeah, looking forward to next week.
Chad Winstead, second on the day from beginning on the front row. Thank you again for stopping by.
Thank you.
Winstead on the way, one final driver to hear from who had to dogfight to get to this point. Wasn't easy, but Scott Zellner hangs on again for another podium finish, and in the fight to keep it up there, you come through by just about a second for P3.
Yeah, overall it was a good night. I was just hoping for a top 10, to be honest with you. Never raced on Monza in a stock car before. It was always just like F1 games growing up. So just happy kept it on track, and top 3 is something I'll take with a smile on my face.
And tonight qualifying in the 6th position, so you didn't start up there in the podium, but had to make some small gains to keep yourself in the mix. How was it making passes? We saw a lot of drivers struggling with control and grip, especially in those close quarter moments. Seemed like you held it down pretty well, even in the late stages where you had to fight with drivers head on.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I had a lot of passes of guys that just made mistakes, so didn't make too many quality passes. But I do think that I kept my tires under control the first stint, a lot better than the second stint. Kind of battled with my teammate Austin Bloom there towards the end, kind of swapping positions, didn't want to take each other out. But yeah, it was good racing. I hope everybody else enjoyed it. It was fun going to a track that stock cars usually don't race.
Of course, going to an international circuit, but we're heading back home to something more familiar next time by short track racing. How do you feel about maybe better chances at going at it for a victory next week?
Depends on the track. I think looking at the schedule, I would prefer if we went to Richmond. That'd probably be my best chance. Don't really consider myself the best short track racer in the world, but give it the old college try every week and see what we can do.
Well, Scott Zellner, P3 on the day here from Monza. If you have any final comments or shout-outs you'd like to send out, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, first and foremost, thanks for everybody at FHR, Caleb, Scott, and Austin. Really fun with racing with those guys. Thanks to Westlake Royal Building Products for sponsoring the series again. Thanks to you guys for broadcasting, and thanks to everybody in my family that watches every week. I really appreciate it.
Scott Zellner coming away P3 on the night here from Italy. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, David.
Zellner on the move. Top 3 comes as follows. P1, Lucas Lodato. P2, Chad Winstead. And Scott Zellner, 3rd on the day. Dominance for the Swamp Motorsport guys as they win their 4th straight race of a 4-race season so far. And they'll be on the drive for 5 next week as we go at it once again for short track next time by. Nevertheless, thank you for tuning in tonight. Coverage of the Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series brought to you by our friends with the Highline Racing League live on FTN Broadcasting. I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. If you enjoyed tonight's action, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated. Congratulations to Lucas Lodato for winning his 3rd race of the season. And of course, we hope to have you back next week. Same time, same place. Short track action with the Highline Racing League. Thank you for tuning in once more. We hope you had a fantastic night.